It's a new ad.
Yeah, is that an upcoming project from Trollord?
Yep.
None can surpass
I saw it
the grand
on
majesty of
no, it
ancient
was
China.
Trollord's stream when
Yep.
I
One of
watched
the
that
oldest
just before I
and
started
longest-lasting
started
civilizations
my
in the
I'd
history
made
of the
like
world.
early dinner, so
Going back
really
over
early dinner. I
4,000
made
years.
dinner at lunchtime, so I
Trollord
would
Games is
had that
proud
done.
to announce
So
our latest
yeah.
Mythos series project, the Codex Sonarum. The Codex Sonarum covers the might and profound wonders of prehistoric to medieval China, both historic and mythic for castles and crusades. With almost 200 mythical Chinese creatures and over 140 deities and heroes, the Codex Sonarum is filled with monsters, gods, warriors, and more on a level that will be truly legendary, told in a narrative true to Chinese history. It introduces the basics of Chinese martial arts and is complete with Qi and the many legendary abilities associated with it. Ancient complex systems of sorcery, spellcraft, and fortune-telling, even enchanted
Those
charms,
illustrations
are explored as well.
really look like old
Players
school
can live out
from
their characters'
early
adventures in
early
tales set in
illustrations from
popular
early
Chinese
times of
fantasy
D&D when they
styles
had
like
Oriental
wuxia
adventures and stuff.
and more,
Yeah, I think
while
that's
within
that's a good
Yeah.
thing that they're
pseudo-historical
trying to
setting,
capture
brought
it,
to
but do
life
it with a little bit of
Castle
Yeah.
Keeper
taste,
or
you
Game
know.
Master.
Oh yes, yeah, they have much more of the
Researched
modern
and
day
written by
good
Brian Young,
sensitivities that
the wildly
but
popular
still
Mythos
ties into it.
series
And I think
delves
the
into the
Trollord's
mythos of the
really
ancient world,
striking a
bringing
really
hosts
good
of
balance
gods
between
and
keeping the
heroes,
old school,
legends and lore,
what's kind
and
of
even
good
the
and
monsters
wonderful with
foes
old
that
school,
plagued the
and
peoples of
still
ancient
kind of
times,
updated it
to
here
the
and there,
stories
and
that
make it
you
really
created.
playable and modern in this day and age. I think they're doing a great
The
job with
Codex
that.
Sonarum brings ancient China to your table. Join us and pledge today. Trollord
Speaking of, here comes
Join
Trollord
the
Games
fray.
in chat.
There you go,
Hey.
Chuck. What's Star Virtual GrotCon? It's gonna be extra. I never changed my drawing there, Chuck. You should know that by now. It's exclamation drawing. Spam the ad in there. What ad? Dude. I think I have it attached to this one. Hold on. There it is. It's on the bottom of that. See?
Here you
Cool.
go. Yep. And so far, I think the convention is a real good success. A lot of
thank you.
streamers, and it's been great. I
Go
watched.
into the Discord, the Virtual GrotCon Discord. There's a lot of games being played right now. I've seen already.
Okay, yeah.
Go in here. Oh, let me hit all my live announcements in Discord first. I have it prepped in there. One, two, three. Looks like there's 3 full games going on in the Discord right now.
Okay. You have games that aren't being streamed. That
Yeah.
just
Greg Reborn stuff, some other events. Let me see if I can see who it is. Yeah, one's a Greg Reborn game.
uh-huh.
2 of them look like Greg Reborn. One looks like Grape Ape or Matt is in there. I think it's his game. So, yeah, cool. Wish I had an ad for Kefir, but I don't. So
That's true. Yeah.
yeah, I don't have a vid.
We don't have a vid for me either, so yeah.
That's so true.
Yep. But I'm here too much anyway, so yeah.
Good point. Go to this.
And this would definitely be my busiest Greyhawk con by far.
Well, that's great. Though.
Yeah,
It's
been
great
crazy.
to
This
see.
weekend is crazy. Yeah, everybody's wanting me to do other stuff, and I said, no, this is my busiest weekend
Yeah.
per year, this year for my work. So I told them that no, I
Slides
have to
back
make
up.
sure that I have my phone silenced. Yeah, I haven't had silence since yesterday. I haven't even turned it on. That's it. Yeah, anyone who calls me, if they don't come and bang on my door, I'll get back to them on Monday. So yeah.
Chuck, what's that mean? VGHC question mark.
I think it's supposed to be Richard Greyhawk on, but he doesn't know how to.
I don't know what he's asking.
Well, we have to see if he can figure out what he's asking and then
Yeah.
get somewhere. Yeah.
Lots going on.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm going to copy this and paste this in Discord, and you go with it there. I don't know what you're talking about for Virtual.com. What ad? I don't have. I don't know what you mean.
Hey, son, Skagit.
What's up, Skagit?
Copy paste.
Whatever small blurb. That's all. All I do, Chuck, is press that button. Oh, for the con itself. Oh man. Give me a sec, man. Now you got me all. I'm going through your ad one more time, Chuck, while we got time to kill here. Because
of the many ancient civilizations
mean
of
this?
the world, none can surpass the
Do you
grand
mean that?
majesty of ancient China. One of the oldest
I mean, I
and
didn't
longest
update that.
lasting civilizations in the history of the world, going back over 4,000 years.
That's what I have for the con.
Roller Games is proud to announce our latest Mythos series project.
It's nothing. It's
Codex
nothing better
Sinai.
than doing work stuff.
Codex Sinai
Getting
covers
stuff
the
done
mighty
like
profound wonders of prehistoric to medieval
Skagit,
China,
what's going on, man?
both historic and mythic, for
Yep.
castles and crusades.
Now you got me confused. I'm not really sure what copy
With almost
paste,
200
what that
mythical
actually
Chinese
means. So
creatures.
you
Oh,
got
no?
me confused too. That no,
Copy paste.
copy paste. I guess it's copy paste, but
Yeah, that's
with
exactly what I
funny
mean.
Swedish letters. So it's kind of funny, but it's kind of So yep, it's awesome.
All right,
It
I finally
introduces
did it right
the
there.
basics of Chinese martial arts.
All right,
and
once
it's
this is
complete
done, we'll
with
go into a
and the
prelude
many
screen
legendary
here.
abilities associated with it.
Copy
Ancient
paste. Yeah,
complex
that's
systems of
awesome,
sorcery,
Skagit.
spellcraft,
That is so
and
cool. You
fortune
confused
telling.
even my
Even
Swedish
enchanted
side here,
charms
so it's
are
awesome.
explored as
Yep.
well. Players can live out their
Copy
characters'
paste, yep.
adventures in tales set in popular Chinese fantasy styles like wuxia and more, while within a pseudo
My first of 4
setting
streams.
and brought to life
Yeah.
by the castle keeper or game master.
And there will be 2 days I'm practically busy
Researched and
from
written by Brian
like 7
Young,
o'clock in the
the
morning
wildly
to
popular
midnight or
Mythos
something.
series delves into the mythos of the ancient world, bringing hosts of gods and heroes, legends and lore, and even the monsters and foes that plagued the peoples of ancient times, to the stories that you create.
Imagine that now you get more and more sponsors and
Codex
more and more
Sinai
videos,
brings
and every
ancient
couple of
China
years you have
to
to start
your
an hour
table.
early just to
Join
run
us.
all the
Yeah,
ads.
well,
Pledge
I've been
today.
trying. I've been limiting like a couple. I've had a couple requests, and I told them no, just because I just couldn't.
You have to pay special for that slot. They have
Yeah,
to give you extra cool giveaways or something in order to get a video slot.
I may have to up my price there a little bit to my
Yeah,
sponsors.
meaning you have to you have like a competition. The best giveaways get the video slot or something.
Two games down, 2 missions completed. Well, that's good. Yeah, I'm not eating until after this. And then I didn't get an early meal. My wife and I will eat right after this.
Yeah.
Shame. Should not do that.
Oh yes, can you? Yep, it's like you go there and there's something going on for hours. Yeah.
So I know a lot of the audience is over at Trollord as they're finishing up, which is okay.
Yeah.
Getting some people rolling in here.
I've never hardly ever heard the sound to any of these videos. I
No?
just-
Oh, now you're
Zoom.
hearing them?
No, I don't hear them. I
Oh,
just see
no?
them. No, in Zoom you don't hear the audio from the stream.
The
I
name, of
just
this,
hear you.
the name of the song I play on the entry screen, this entry screen, is They Fought as Legend.
Yeah, I remember that because when I watched your game the other night, I heard it a little bit. But so yeah, but that means I have to catch very early in the stream, so sometimes I miss that. So yeah, 84 watching.
Yeah, they had up
That's
to
good.
95 at one point, I saw too.
Yeah, that's great.
Going through the whole hidden
Yeah.
library. Starting off. Hey, Jim Skier Perford, what's up? We're going on the really cool
Hello,
discussion
Jim.
here.
Yep.
Jim, I was glad to see. I think you signed up for Icarus's games, and he's going to run it just for you. That's pretty cool. He didn't cancel. That was neat to hear. Check something. Still got people buying tickets last second, which is good. So that's good. I wanted to check in there to see.
Yeah,
So,
that's great. Yeah. And the only thing better than doing this online is to do it at a convention where you can actually talk to people.
yeah, I
See them
agree.
face to face. But this
really
is the
like the-
second best.
I really like the Gary Cons.
Yep.
We're doing them again this year. That's definitely, definitely.
Oh yeah, I'm going to. So yeah, me and Josh, we made plans already. So I'm coming. Yep.
All right, we're going to go live here 2 minutes before as people are rolling in. So, welcome VirtualCon 3 and my
Yeah.
first of 4 streams, Anna. And,
Yeah, awesome. Thank you having the honor of being part of your first stream here. So yeah,
oh,
for
no
the
problem.
convention. Yep.
I appreciate it. It's going to be a great discussion here. I'm looking forward to it. And let me see, we got some announcements. There we go. Let's put
Yeah,
those
and
in
we
there.
had some good ones before. I missed Finicky Wiki because I was actually out.
Phoenixy Wiki?
Finicky Wiki. Yeah,
Phoenixy Wiki. Yep.
yeah, I missed that. I was out hiking up in the hills here this morning when he was on. So I thought I would catch him the last like 20 minutes, but he had gone. So I watched after that. So yep.
Yeah, Skagith, I don't need a whole out. Yeah, I'm only doing the sponsor trailers and stuff for those that are sponsoring the con. So today, and we have 4 main sponsors: Troller Games, Infinite Dimensions Games, Gamescape 3D, and Cave Geek Art are the main ones. So, and I don't have a vid for Cave Geek, but I do have this. So we're going to give away 2
Oh,
$10 digital gift certificates for Troller Games tonight, but we're giving this away too. And this is the Free City Greyhawk Cave Geek Art Map, print.
print. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it is
One of a
awesome.
few prints. There's not that many
Yes.
prints made of it. So
Yes, I will roll it up in a tube and I will send it, and it is awesome. So
yep.
I've given away 3 of them during the entire con. This is time number 1, so I have 3 of them to give away for the con. So yeah, four great sponsors there, and we're rolling through just a couple quickie announcements.
Yeah.
We're raiding the Blue Box after this, roughly 7 Eastern. And then Blue Box will finish up raiding into, I think, Phantom, and Jay will run late night. And then I'll kick it back off with Tim first thing in the morning. Tomorrow's going to be busy for both of us.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, the next couple of days are going to be busy. But yeah.
Oh yeah,
so,
it'll be crazy couple of days. now.
yeah, definitely. So, Anna, you want to kick it off and just start talking about some things? When Troller comes in, when they come in, we got 30 people
Yeah.
on, so people
Okay.
are rolling
Okay.
in.
Yeah. So yeah. So I'm going to announce first. I'm going to do the boring little business bit first, and some thanks and
Can you
stuff
just tell
like
me
that.
when I need to go to the other screen with any of the
Yeah.
things? Okay.
And then they will be talking about what I have in the pipeline, so to speak. That will be the theme of this presentation. Will be what I have in the pipeline, and it's what, as far far as I know what's coming, so to speak. And there are going to be some cool announcement that I haven't spoken to anybody, not even Jay knows them. So
Awesome.
there will be some awesome surprises at
Nothing
the
wrong
end.
with
So
that. That's really cool.
Yeah, so stick at the end because there will be some cool stuff that I haven't talked to anybody about. So there will be
Nice.
some fun stuff. So yeah, and so there will be a bunch of stuff, and not so much. Well, normally I've talked a lot of technique and stuff like that. I'm going to skip that bit. They would not nothing about Photoshop layers or any of that stuff and how a map is made. And this is going to be more of an overview of projects, ideas, and goals and stuff like that, and so on. So that will be the theme, and new ideas and stuff that I'm having for things to come. And first of all, a big thank you to everybody. Meaning, I started this 10 years ago to decide to take this into doing and make a living out of it, and I'm almost there, so to speak. It's almost pays all the bills and stuff. So, and that's thanks to you guys. I'm like, yeah, I'm working for the Greyhawk community, and other creators and stuff. They ask me like, oh, do you do commissions and stuff? And I said, no, the Greyhawk community hired me basically and pay me a monthly salary for work for them. So the good thing is that the Greyhawk community have been so great, generous to me that they basically outbid almost every other commission publisher that wants to commission me. And I simply say, you have to outbid my patrons, meaning the Greyhawk community, in order for me to take it. And so far, very few have, so to speak. So Altamira is an exception because it ties into it, and both Jay and Troll Lords are so cool that I really want to work with them. And I don't say that I would never do a commission. Wolfgang Bauer might come with some really cool Midgard stuff in the future that I might say yes to. But the price have gone up because now I'm thanks to you guys, you're paying me, started paying me decent money every month to do cool stuff, and I want to return that and try to do even more cool stuff. So that's what we're going to dig into. So yeah, we can switch and start the slides then. Yeah.
Awesome. And I'm going to hit wrong buttons all night.
Oh yeah, that's part of the fun. So yeah.
Yes.
So the first one is thank you, and I have a bit over 400 patrons. That was my goal at the end of the year, was to go to 400, and I'm at 405 or something like that right now. So I just passed 400 a few weeks ago, and it's been a slow but steady increase, and I'm so grateful for that. So it's fantastic. This is living. I used to have a job that was my dream. Now I have another job that is my dream. So it's so much fun, and you guys make it fun. It's awesome community to work for. So, and let's go to the next slide, because now comes the business part of it that I think is really important and often gets lost. So I'm going to take like 5 minutes and talk about this part, and that's the business idea. Meaning there are lots of content creators, and there's a fair bit of map makers and stuff like that out there that do content and stuff. I'm not trying to sell it for a number of reasons, and one is that I want the content to be as usable as possible for the Greyhawk community. Whether you're a streamer, just a DM at home, a player, someone who wants to write cool stuff for a blog or whatever, I want you to be able to grab my maps and other data, like, and other stuff that I do, like heraldry and stuff for Greyhawk, and be able to use it. And even take the raw file, meaning the Flanny's map, the AI file. Yeah.
I'm disappointed. People are all these new people coming in. Keep on going, man. I'm multitasking.
Yeah. So the idea, that's why all my Greyhawk stuff so far, and everything that I talk about in these 2 hours, and everything that I have foresee for Greyhawk will be released as Creative Commons, and that means that, and I'm using the by NCSA license, and that basically means that as long as it's not you're not selling my maps for money, you're okay. Meaning you can share, you can copy and share it and distribute it yourself. That's perfectly fine. And you can also adapt it. You can take my maps, you can download the Illustrator file that I've used and make your own version and distribute that too. There's the only thing that I require is that you credit me for having made the original, so to speak. That's basically it. And also not sell it. But that is not so much only me, but it's also Wizards of the Coast, because this material is created under the fan creation rules, and that means that we're not allowed to sell it. So I'm giving it away, and for me that works perfectly, because I really like it to be that way, because a lot of the stuff that I do are based on what other Greyhawk creators, whether it's published back by TSR or Wizards of the Coast or done by all the other wonderful people in the Greyhawk community. So I thrive on that, and this is my way of giving it back, so to speak. And thanks to the generosity of all the Greyhawk community, they gives me the time basically to sit and do this full time now. I'm just blown away. This is so much fun. So I really want to, and I want to emphasize this business model, because a lot of people say that well, they try to make products out of it and sell it. So and to me, this gives me maximum freedom. There's a couple of drawbacks with it, is that it's difficult for me to do print runs. Everybody's asking for print and merch and stuff. It will come. I say it will come. Printed versions of stuff will come. I don't have any formal announcements on that yet, but when I do, it will come, and I'm pretty sure within 1 year. And one of the main reasons is that it costs money to set it up, and right now I'm on a shoestring budget, because the money that I get is not invested so much directly, and it's paying my bills and my health insurance and a whole bunch of other stuff that goes, and so I done it, and I put aside money, but more on that part. But I think it's to emphasize that you can actually be your own creator and give away the stuff, so to speak, and thanks to modern technology. So
yeah, Rethix, I think that another suite. I think that is coming in an announcement, later.
So everything that I will talk about during these 2 hours, all of it is, I put the Creative Commons logo at the bottom of every screen, just to prove and tell that all the projects I'm going to talk about, it will be given away to everybody for free, so to speak. There might be, some of them might end up, some of the raw material might only be to my patrons, but that will be Creative Commons too. So I'm not going to go after anyone with a cease and desist or pay a lawyer or anything to go after. So it's not that, so to speak. So this is the basic idea, is to give away this stuff, to invent it and give it away to the Greyhawk community, to make the Greyhawk community stronger, and then hopefully they will reward me as well as they have done so far. And so far it's worked really, really well. So this works for me. So I'm so happy to do this, because it cuts down on administration a lot, so to speak, because I don't have to fiddle around with a lot of that stuff. So this is the thank you, Blue Box, John. But so this is the boring business bit, so to speak. But I think it's very important to emphasize, working under the Wizard of the Coast, very friendly and creator friendly rules for fan creation tools, and the Creative Commons, meaning if you're a streamer or whatever, download stuff from my website, and that's one of the screens I forgot to make a site with my URL, but you know it, and we can post it in chat and stuff later. So yeah, so you can, if you're a streamer, a blogger, or a DM, you can just download my stuff and use it. Please do, and then tell them where they can find more of it and stuff. So that was the business part of it, so to speak. And I have one of these things I just want to emphasize. I'm not going to dwell on it. So go to the next screen. And I'm just going to say, in this day and age, LGBTQ values and stuff, I'm an LGBTQ person myself, and I just wanted to emphasize that those values are being threatened here and there. And this is not going political or anything. I just wanted to point it out that I'm part of that community. So that's it, so to speak. I just wanted people to know it, and that's it. So that was all I wanted to say about it. So I just wanted to put that logo that I used there.
It's appreciated, Anna, and you know, we try and keep politics out of our streams as much as possible. But mentioning that is no problem.
Yeah, unless we talked about Greyhawk politics.
Right. Well, yeah, absolutely.
That was
Wednesday night.
different.
So
Yeah, that was different.
definitely.
Okay, yeah. So that part. Let's go into the meaty, juicy, fun bits, so to speak. So go into the pipelines. So what comes up here is roughly it's what I have been working on for several years, because one of the things, I'm a long-term planner. I'm not that good at getting things done every day, but I'm damn good at getting project done over time, so to speak. So my projects usually have like a 4 or 5 year pipeline. What I'm thinking about now and planning for are things that I want to see in 5 years. And a lot of this that's starting to come to fruition. What we're talking about here is things that will come to be roughly within the next year or so. So it's coming. A lot of it you already heard about, and there will be some things here that will be new that you never heard about, because I like to save a few tidbits here and there that will be fun that no one heard about, so to speak. So let's go into the next one, new tools, because
Awesome.
I think this is kind of important. This is the only real technical bit I think will be today. And I've been for the past like a year or so spending up, and I've had my computer for 5 years, my main computer, and now it's time for a new one. So I set aside $6,000 as a budget to buy a new one. So within a couple of months, I will get myself a new computer, and I already have the graphics card, so I'm going to invest $6,000 in the computer plus graphics cards. So I think it will be good enough to make me something that I can really work with. And that's the hardware side, meaning I will have something that is about 5 times faster, or maybe even 10 times more powerful than the one I have today. So which is 5 years old. So that will speed up. And I put 2 computers in the illustration and 3 screens, because that's basically what I'm aiming for and what I will have. I will have one main computer that can do a lot of the work, and another one for streaming, for storing stuff, for doing like webby things and reading my email and stuff like that, and 3 screens, so to speak. So that's part of my setup. And then there is a bunch of software tools that are coming up that is really cool. QGIS is starting to be one of my mainstay, and thanks to you guys' support, ArcGIS is within reach. It's about $1,000 a year to get a good ArcGIS license, but I think it can be useful, because that way I can set up a platform for GIS maps in the future. So I'm looking into expanding my web server and stuff. So the goal is within a few years to have a web-based graphics or mapping cartography, like you have OpenStreetMap, but for Greyhawk, so to speak. That's the goal to do. Yeah, and I'm talking to different partners, because I'm not the only one thinking about this idea. So I'm going to talk to a guy in Spain next week, and we'll see if we can work. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, because there's the cartography technology is becoming amazing. And that means that you can start using it for fantasy purposes too. So I think it's really, really cool. We'll see what comes out of it, because the good thing when you have it in JS data is that you can use it for anything from printing it in a book, on a poster, posting it on a website, or funneling into render tools or Unreal or virtual tabletops or whatever. So it's clearly the way into the future, so to speak. And then I have my trusty tool, World Machine and Gaia, that I'm right now currently having as major tools. And then on the right are tools that are coming into the pipeline, and those are Unreal and Blender. Blender is cool, and QGIS and Blender are cool because they are open source, which means that a lot of the stuff that I put in there can be used by others, because that's one of the other key goals when moving into future stuff, is that I want you guys to have the raw data. So anyone who wants to say, I don't like your settlements, and I want the roads there, I want the road over here, and I want my town to be over there, not where you placed it. So you can basically get the raw data, and then you can put whatever you want in, or you can just take my stuff and just change out a few ugly bits and put in your version of it. So that's the idea. So flexibility and the ability to customize the stuff is really important, because me as a DM, I want to be able to do that. So I assume that all of you guys want to do it too.
I got a question. So we're talking on your technology.
Yeah.
I know you need a new machine, but for example, when you tell me you're rendering the Landsren Altamira and
Yeah.
stuff, and it took a day and a half or
Mm-hmm.
so many
Yeah.
hours on
Mm-hmm.
your machine,
Yep. Yep.
why is that? Like, what's
It's
happening?
because it's so many. First of all, it requires such an enormous amount of RAM that it runs out of RAM, and then you need to swap the file back and forth on a hard drive.
Oh, okay.
And I have old SATA SSDs that are 5 years old, meaning they can read a few hundred megabytes per second, and we are talking probably 2 or 3, maybe 5 terabyte of data that needs to be stored and read back into memory and stored again.
All right, so it's the functioning memory. Okay.
Exactly. So what I want now in the future is more RAM, and I'm going to get myself a PCIe 5 and say an NVMe SATA RAID system that can do a terabyte a second, or
That
something
goes
like
right into
that.
the memory, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I can
Okay.
so it instead of having to swap it back and from clunky hard drives or old SSDs, I can store like 5 terabyte of data on super fast SSDs, and that will cut down the rendering time in more than half. And then you have the other one, and that's the sheer number crunching. It's like trillions of little calculations that have to be made. And now I have an 8-core machine. I want to bring that up to 32 cores and faster, and that means that it will be 4 or 5 times faster in the rendering capacity. And if I take the rendering capacity plus this speed up in storage, those two things combined will probably, maybe I can speed it up by 10 times. So instead of 20 hours, it will be 2 hours. And that means that I can do test renders that took me 2 hours in 2 minutes.
Wow.
Or 2 or 3 minutes. And that will make it really, really, and that is one side of the time saving. The other one will be that I can work on much larger areas. Now I work on a 15 by 15 miles. I want to bring that up in a couple of years to 500 miles by
Right.
500 miles in one go. And that will also make I can produce way, way, way more, so to speak. So it's effectiveness and speed both. So
Okay.
it's like getting a fatter pipeline to the internet or something. So yeah.
Awesome.
So that is the big stuff, and it's expensive. Once you go beyond what normal gaming and stuff requires, computing goes up in price exponentially. So
Exponentially.
yeah, that's the problem. So I think that my storage or hard drive will be half the price. The storage will cost $3,000, and the rest of the computer will probably be about $3,000.
So just want to say, community, and this is probably true for Trollords. Thank you very much. We're all day. We've been like the number. All the streams have been like #1 in D&D category. So
That's awesome.
yeah. So thank you.
Oh, and tack så mycket, Skagge. Thank you, Skagge. That's awesome. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So thank you, community. We're all doing.
Yep. And it's thanks to you guys. You making this possible. So that we have it.
That's a lot of fun to have that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep. So that was new tools. Let's go into projects that are in the pipeline, and let's go into one of the ones that have been announced that I want to talk about, and that's the Heraldry Compendium, the first volume, so to speak. And I wrote the classics in here because I haven't nailed down. That's one of the things that I want to do after the convention now, is to ask primarily my patrons and see how we should divide up the heraldry. I just wrote the classics because I think that might be kind of a fun to first get the good old we have from old classics and get them in a separate one, and then we'll see how much we can make room for because we have about 400 shields now in the repository, so to speak, to work from. And then we'll see about the format. But my idea is to one version of the compendium should be like a PDF that you can download and you can sift through and you can print on your printer at home if needed, or read on your tablet or something, like the Atlas, JPEG and PDF. But I also want to have posters, because I know a lot of people want these posters, print them on the wall and hang them on the wall. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah, so Noble Dwarf, I'm going to reach out again and see if he can print 36 by 24 or some format that he can print, and then make high quality PDFs, send them to him, and you can order your prints from him, so to speak. So that's the goal of trying to get that to do. So yeah.
I just looked up my Greyhawk and Heraldry folder.
Yeah.
3.75 gigs.
Yep. Yeah, it's those new PNGs that you see, the textured ones here that are big. So,
That's
yeah,
so
they
awesome.
take. But there will
Yeah.
also be 3 versions of every shield eventually. There will be this textured high resolution PNG, and then it will be a low resolution PNG, the simple version of the shield that goes on the map, and there will also be an SVG version of the simple shield too. So there are now some of the new shields that I have to make simple versions of, and vice versa. So I'm sifting through it. I have a few more, and there's more being developed too. But right now, I think it's better to go into presenting what we have in as good as possible, and then launch new ones down. But making new ones are small little cool projects that I can spend an hour or two now and then. So they will all through fall. There will be new ones trickling out, just like I did during the earlier this year. There will be trickle up. Maybe 1 week there might be 5 new ones. Next week there might be 1 or none, and then there will be a few, and so on. And then we collect them together by Christmas and see if we add them on to the Heraldry Compendium or something. So the format and the size and the scope is something I'm going to present different ideas and stuff, and we can have a voting, or people can have you can voice your opinion on what you think should be in there, so to speak. So that's the idea of the Heraldry Compendium. But it's a project that I think is really cool and useful, and people seem to love it. So I get so many good feedback from Heraldry.
And just with now, the capability you gave me to make my own, and 2 drink minimum, the
Yep.
Slavs, all these
Yep.
unique I mean, it ups the game from the
Oh,
original
yeah.
folio.
Yep.
It is a huge step up that no one took for 40 years, right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, but it's also, now we have the technology. And one of the things that the first things I will do after the convention here is to put together a good template. So my top patrons, you will get a template, and so you can make your own of this with instructions and stuff. And I will also take one of the mapping live streams and show how it's done. There are some earlier ones, but I will take one and take an hour or half an hour and make a shield and talk about it. So you can have that as a kind of and it's not that difficult. You can actually do it yourself, but there will be a pre-made template and stuff in there, so to speak. And thanks to Midjourney, that is one of the other cool tools that I just love, because for me it's super useful, that I can use in order to speed up the concept of new art for heraldry. That is super cool.
Thanks for the kind words there. Yeah, we're trying here.
All right, wonderful. So,
let me go off to that, and I'm assuming we go here next.
Yeah, and then we have the next one. There's 2 projects left over to do with the old map that is now been around one form or the other for 20 years, over 20 years. So it's time to move on from this version of the map. But there's 2 more projects, and one of them is the Flanies and Heponalen 598 Atlas. Unfortunately, Dwayne can't help me much with the index, but worst case scenario, I'll take a week or 10 days and go through every damn little thing and put it in myself, or I will solicit some help with go through it, and so we see if we can take different ones and some introduction on how the format. And it's basically you will get one piece of the map, and you will get an Excel spreadsheet, and you have to find every little settlement and make sure that the spelling is correct, put them in there. And also, if you have like the principality of something, then that needs to be registered both under Principality of Ulick, should be registered both under Principality and under Ulick, because we don't know who's looking for what, so to speak. So we try to cover all the bases with the index. So that's something that I want to work on this fall as well. And both the Heraldry Compendium and this Atlas is the goal, to have them both released before the end of the year. That's the idea, so to speak, to go. But these maps are still useful and loved, and even I like them still, and they're 20 years old. They had 2 major overhauls. People who remember them from 10 years ago remember the colors were garish and stuff. So I've kind of made 2 tweaks, and they will get a new lease of life in a future version too, but we'll talk about that later, so to speak. So that was the project. But then there's one other version of this map coming out, and let's go. Yeah, and that's the Meyer version.
Yes.
My own campaign version of the map is going to come out. So go to the next one. So yeah,
Rex Fellas, that is a tough question. No one ever explained why. I think because the Ulick states. I think because
Hmm.
of ethnic. One's
Yep.
Dwarvish, one
Hmm.
is halfling, gnome, human. The county
Yep.
is, and then the duchy's Elvish. I think that's the reason for it. There,
Yeah.
the Ernst
And
states. I think it's Sewell Iridian, isn't it? The county and duchy of Ernst. One is Sewell and one's Iridian. I,
yeah, they were mixed up a little bit like that. And I also think that
yeah.
the reason we have those Uliks is part because they were part of the Kievish Empire, and they might have wanted to split them up into different parts because they didn't want one unified or something. So so there's you can kind of play with it, but I think Jay, I think you're on to something great there, and I'm more kind of confused with Ernst than Ulick, because Ulick kind of stick together. Ernst is kind of the leftover parts of Nyrond in a way that
Mhm.
that kind of got. So
Yeah.
so I would love to deep dive into that story. And then we have a good question from Gunslinger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where you're going with this. How do
Mhm.
you use your maps for your own campaign? Well, she's going to show you. I think.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, so they I use this as my canvas. And for many years it
Good
was good,
question.
but it wasn't good enough. But it's a great question. And that is something that, so what I did was that I'm taking this map that to me is not detailed anywhere near enough, and I make something that is way more detailed. So this is my reference map, so to speak. This is my canvas, my kind of my idea place when it comes to geography. And then I take this and I make things that are way more detailed for my own campaigns. And I put things in there. So the Meyerhawk campaign map has, I think, more than twice the amount of data, maybe even 3 times as many settlements and stuff. I can't promise. I would love to do an atlas and an indexed version of the campaign map, but that will not be this year. I'm planning to save that for next year when we have better technology, because otherwise that will bog me down 2 months to do it. If I had Dwayne, that would bog me down 1 month, but if he's not able to help me that much for various very good reasons, that means that it might be too overwhelming. So we do the campaign map, and then hopefully there will be a yearly release of the campaign map or something like that. So yeah. I'll see if I have any more questions here. So yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it's the only thing I think is ethnic. I mean, I would say
Yeah.
species. I know race is a bad word now, but
No,
we
no,
use
but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like different ethnicities or whatever you might call
yeah,
them. So
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I
So yeah. So my campaign map will come, and there will be some. I will present. The whole thing will be available, and it is available right now. You can hang on a second. I can actually
Thanks,
find it. I can find it and put the link here so you can see it right now. But it's a little bit of a sorry state because I haven't. It's more like a little bit haphazard. All the latest changes to the public map and stuff hasn't been. So you can see it here. You can actually see it there, but it's been neglected a bit, and it's been added to, and I have a bunch of stuff. And this is not the latest version, because I haven't put the latest version on Easy Zoom either. So and the thing is that I change my campaign map almost every session. Every time I sit down and plan, I add a new little settlement, I change something gets ruined, or whatever it is, a road gets clarified and stuff. So it's very much a living document. That's why I never printed my campaign map, because it will be old before it's useful, so to speak. So that's the thing for me. So when it comes to my map. Okay, so let's move into next what will come next, so to speak. And I've used for my Shieldlands campaign that I started planning 5 years ago, and I started mapping 4 years ago, and we started playing 2 years ago, and now I have a bit over 1,000 square miles mapped, and it's mapped in my I can't trademark Porta Potty scale, but I put the logo for Porta Potty scale on there, so you have the Porta Potty scale now has a logo.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep. So this is the map that this is where I want to. This is my a campaign map scale that is very useful for me. You can see everything from individual trees to individual buildings and stuff. So for overland travel, this is a godsend. I can put all the details I want in there, and I can plan all the encounters. I can know where the bad guys can flee, where the characters can flee, where they can't flee, etc. I can drum up all these kind of interesting little nuggets, so to speak. I love to look at a canvas like this because it's so inspiring for me when I plan my campaigns, so to speak. So, and now I'm also starting to figure out how to actually label a map like this, because when you take a map like this that has 100 times more details than the existing map, you need to have a different labeling scheme. So I've been toying back and forth, and the way I think I will go is to, like you see in the middle with Aldit, you will have a little line with a little dot that points to things that are so small that you won't find them otherwise. And then you will have a symbol. That symbol tells you what the thing is, the name, and if it has some sort of sign afterward, like a heraldry or something. So you get all that info right then and there, so to speak. What is the allegiance? If there is an allegiance, what's this type of thing, and what's the name, and exact placement. And the reason I want exact placement is that some things are so small, there might be a mile marker along this tree, or along the road, or an old druid tree, or something. There might be a magical stuff buried somewhere or something that you can't see, but it's there. So if someone needs to cast a spell or cast detect magic, they might do something, or there might be a local little brownie living in a hole under a rock or whatever. You never know. I mean, you come up with all sorts of fun stuff. So this is and this will be my new Flanny's area map standard, so to speak. And this is also the standard that Altamira will be mapped at this level of detail. So the Shieldlands have been my test area, so to speak, for this. But you need more than the area map when you go in and map for your campaign. I need 2 more levels of map detail in order to run a campaign successfully that is engagement. The second one is settlements. So you can move into the next slide there. So yeah. And now we move in one more, and this is actually where we're going to have my game tomorrow. So this is Syrian Keep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, sorry, not tomorrow. Well, thankfully, not tomorrow, Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah, I need one more day to plan. So wonderful. Thank you, Canard Dubois. Yeah, that's awesome. So this map, now we move from 1 pixel 5 feet to 10 pixels per 5 feet. And for me, that is good enough for combat outdoors. If you have an ambush along a road, the characters want to go, the party wants to go scouting in the general neighborhood to see if there's any orc lairs and any buildings and stuff like that. Exploration. This map is not for travel. This is for to explore town, or to go looking for that druid that lives in a little hut outside the village, or stuff like that, so to speak. And you want to, this is a map that is detailed enough that you can use it as an encounter map if you want to, but it's also covering large enough area that you can do travel across town, and you can see individual buildings clearly. You can mark out things like doors. You can actually get a good feel for what everything looks like down to detail. But then you get to the next level, and that's when you go into buildings, down into dungeons and stuff, and that's when you go to the encounter, when the combat really gets going, and you want to be nitty-gritty, and you know who's standing behind a counter and who's standing on the other side of a wagon and stuff. And that's when you go to the next one, encounter maps. And
I just like the way you go in and you over highlight them. Just even alone, you know.
Yeah, and the reason for that is that it's actually I just taken the area map that is 1 pixel per 5 feet, blown up that terrain, and then just sketched, because I get the buildings. The buildings are just pixelated here. So what I do is I just sketch over the buildings, and that, because it's not only my emphasis when I do my maps, and even these maps, is not to make the prettiest picture ever. I'm not painting the Mona Lisa here, so to speak. It's supposed to be effective cartography that could be produced accurately, passionately, and be very useful at the game table. That's the idea, so to speak. So they're not the prettiest maps in the world by far, meaning Alyssa and a bunch of others, they can produce better looking maps, but these are accurate, useful, and I can produce lots of them in the future. So that's the and they also standard, meaning if you understand one, you can understand the other ones coming down the pipeline, so to speak. So that's the idea. And then and also it's setting the standards, and you have to realize these are my first ones. And so in the future they will look better than this. These are my first ones. So this is, yeah. Okay, so let's go to the encounter map. So
Sure.
yep. So this is, and here you can study it because this is also coming on Sunday. So I just took a piece of it, so to speak, and take it. So this is the lower level of the keep. So it's just quick and dirty encounter maps, and this is 20 pixels per 5 feet. So it's good enough. You can put it in a VTT. You can put tokens over it. You can move around, and you can kind of use fog and war and stuff, but it's not anywhere near as pretty as the biggest maps. But on the other hand, I can take whole town in the VTT at once. I don't need to split it up per building.
Oh,
so you can actually put it up. So it's kind of, and it's quick and dirty, and I can do it in Photoshop. And my top tier patrons will get the templates for doing this too, because the key when you map these are that you use layer effects and stuff, and layer presets and stuff in Photoshop. That saves a lot of time, so to speak. So that these aren't that difficult. If you spend 50 hours doodling in Photoshop, you can do stuff like this. It's not that difficult. It's just requires a little bit of doodling around in Photoshop or GIMP or Krita or one of the other tools as well. So have I missed any questions and stuff?
I don't think I don't
Oh,
think
good.
at this
Yeah.
point. I think we're good. I mean, you had
Yeah.
some, but so I know this was that area was trap ridden, wasn't that it, when you were running under, or was this something else? The one you're showing here?
Well, this is the one that this is the keep they're going to store.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So
This is the basement level of that keep. So if you study this really thoroughly, you will get it. So I will not change anything. I think maybe I took it a couple of days ago, and when I did the slide, so I might have changed something without knowing it since then. But so it's basically it's that oh, thank you. It's good. So this is to me effective, and my goal when I do all my maps is to not give all the answers. I don't want the photographic picture. A lot of people think that my end goal is to be photographed. No, I want to have something that aid the people when you run. Now I lost the word. When you run a game, theater of the mind game, I want the maps to kind of aid theater of the mind. I don't want it to take away from the inspiration from players. I want it to aid it, so to speak. So yeah.
How do you prefer to make your encounter maps file-wise? What is a decent size to play effectively with?
That, to me, it's basically up to the area of play. So in this sense, it's the whole area of the keep and the surrounding buildings. So in this sense, it's probably about 1/2 to 3/4 of a mile. So it's about 3,500 pixels from one side to the other. And that was one of my problems, because before, a lot of things like Fantasy Grounds and stuff, they had a limitation at 1,000 pixels, which to me is ridiculously small. But you will see when you watch my games, my play style is that battles are seldom or rarely static into tiny little areas. They sweep over large areas. You run it, you see the enemy often at a distance, and you have to maneuver in place, and you chase each other, and so on and so forth. Some enemies flee, you take up chase, etc. So the battles are much more open and not pitched in a room or something. It's like usually much wider and bigger, so to speak. So that's, yeah. So it's kind of, it's my play style, and that's, I think it's key every time. You need the maps that facilitate the game you want to play. That's the key, so to speak. So you have to find the, and that's something. So please tell me if there's time, because you have meaning symbology, and I've now worked with that. I have the whole village, each floor, so to speak. So I have one map. This is the bottom basement or ground floor. And then I have 10 different maps because the keep is 10 stories high. So I have 10, there's 10 different maps from the highest tower down to the basement, so to speak. And then there's some sub basement. I haven't shown that, so they have to find it. So I didn't pick that one. So, and that's one of the beauties in, I'll use Owlbear Rodeo too. And you can actually put another map in there. So I can paste in a map of secret doors, for instance, and stuff. So you can kind of do, so yeah, layered cake maps, but it might be different. Maybe the way to go in Owlbear Rodeo is to cut out each building and have every floor on one map. And so that might be the way I go in the future. So I'm still in early days of doing this, so to speak. So I haven't run games online, my own games. I played for like 10 years almost online, but I haven't run games much online more than the past few years. And so I'm still in early days when it comes to it, but it's a really cool tool to use VTTs for my style of play. I think it could be the preferred way of doing it. So.
Theater mind just working where you're just moving. Well, yeah. Yeah. It's
exactly, Scott and Kane, and that's really good. And
see you, Scott.
Yeah, if you asked me 5 years ago, I would be like, no, I want Skyrim, or I want something that gives me all the details. Now I've changed my mind over the last 5 years. I don't want every detail. I want enough details so you don't have to argue about whether the hobgoblin stands behind a door or not, or can I actually see over there. So you want more like guidelines for the mind of the player, so you and the players can have the basic idea of the concept, meaning how far away are they behind a hill, is it forest here between and stuff. So you get the basic tactical stuff sorted out on the map, but not the nitty-gritty details. And I also don't want to be that rules heavy mechanics. You will see a lot of in my games that I do. I ease into combat and I ease out of combat. A lot of DMs, they're like, first you have exploration, and then the shit hit the fan and we roll initiative, and then we battle it out using those rules. I usually ease into combat, and the players and all of a sudden combat has erupted, so to speak. And I secretly just added them in my Obsidian tool, and they will have an initiative order, and I will just start asking them as they go about, so to speak. So I try to ease in and out of it because I want the story to continue through combat, which I think is, I don't want to break that immersion. I want all the cool role play and all that kind of story-driven stuff to continue through combat and after combat too, which is sometimes you're very successful and sometimes it's disastrous failure. So I'm still working on it, so to speak. It's hard. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's part of it, but that's my play style, because it's and some people, DMs and for sure a lot of players love to have the skirmish kind of gritty down there and know how many inches or feet and directions and ranges and stuff really nailed down, so to speak. So it's up to play style, because for some people that's the essence of the game, and it's perfectly understandable. Some people play the game, they come from a wargaming background maybe, and that's what they love about it. They just want a little bit more flavor to their wargaming, so to speak, which is perfect. Or I come more from another big stories and kind of cool stuff, and I want to have wargaming flair to that, so to speak, in order to tell it. And it's a continuum, and you need, both you as a DM and the players need to figure out roughly where you fit on this continuum, so to speak. And it changes from different types of campaign. So on Sunday's game will be very military, it's battle, so it will be very it will be a war zone. And that is very different from a diplomatic gathering around a dinner table or something like that. Will be very different. So on Sunday will not represent all of my game sessions, are not like that, but I thought it would be kind of cool because that's when I think my style of play might differ than others. Tim and me have some similarities, and I think that's not a coincidence, so to speak, that we have it in. Yeah.
So Scott, some of them, that's a good question. We get some. There are some that
Oh, yeah,
do their own
yeah.
maps still,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And players, of course, they can draw their own maps. Yeah, but sometimes I will, there have been some instances when I've said that, no, your character has been so damn busy. And they said, no, I'm drawing a map. So sometimes I will simply tell the player, you don't do anything, you draw your map this round. Yep. And that means that you have to sacrifice actions in order to do stuff. And one of the other house rules I have is that if you want to disbelieve an illusion, for instance, then you need to spend an action doing it. You have to actually, you can't just say that I'm going to disbelieve it and get a saving throw. You have to actually spend a few seconds figuring it out instead of attacking or running or doing something like that. So you, and in my third edition era, I was so stringent, and Pathfinder, you had to spend a full round trying to figure out a disbelieve. Otherwise you could. Now it's, I've weed it down to just one action, so to speak. In order to get a saving throw against illusion and fear and stuff, you need to spend an action, try to figure it out, so to speak. Otherwise you will fail the save automatically, because you would just, it would just be there and you don't bother to react to it, so to speak. So it's part of making the game this more story driven, so to speak. And in order to, you can't just exploit the rules. And if you do, that has to take some consequences, because the action economy is one of the key things you can elaborate with in during game sessions and combat. It's basically the economy of the game is action economy. How much can your character do compared to how much can the enemy do, so to speak. So to throw an illusion there, it might be good even if it fails, because at least it gets the enemy to stare at something and give you a couple of seconds of getting ahead, so to speak.
Cool. So
yeah,
go to the next
okay,
one.
yeah, go to the next
one.
one. Yep. And this is the next big thing, so to speak, that comes after, and this is the future of, we've talked a little bit about it, and that's Gis Conversion, because it's already started just a little bit, but it's more on the probing stage, so to speak. It's figuring out the standards, just like I did 20 years ago when I sat down and say, okay, this is the way I'm going to do the maps. Now I need to do the same thing again. Say, okay, what are the standards going to be? Meaning what data, what resolutions, formats, and all that. Because once you start putting in hundreds and then thousands, maybe over time, tens of thousands of hours in it, you don't want to figure out 3 years from now that, damn, why the hell didn't I do it that way? So this is a major, just like governments, militaries, big business and stuff, their mapping needs, they have whole committees that spends years figuring out what kind of mapping and geographical standards they need to adhere to. For us, it's not, we're not going to try to win a war or keep in control of a road network or anything like that. But for our campaigns, meaning this is a big decision to make, so to speak. So I'm not making it lightly. So I'm treading in, and there's different parts of it, and there's different projects that ties into this, and one of them is symbol updates. So go to the next one. So I'm toying with, because the symbols that I have on the map are good, but they could do a good cleanup, and so I've started produce, these are the new base symbols, and then I will make elven versions, dwarven versions, and some of the ones for fantasy fun, so to speak. But these are my first version of the new version, the new symbol set, so to speak. Some of them are cleaned up, especially the village symbol, the walled village that is in the middle there. You have from the left, you have the metropolis, large cities, small cities, large towns, small towns, villages, and structures, and large structures and small structures, and then thorp and dwarfs. And dwarfs is basically 1 or 2 little buildings. A thorp is like a mini village, maybe 10 buildings or 5 or something like that.
I like
tiny
this.
little.
Yeah, I like the site major one. That's kind of the
Oh yeah,
stuff
exactly. I
that's
wanted them to be separate from and tie into what they could be, so to speak. And they need to be easy to read. They need to be easy to vectorize for GIS use, and they should print well, so to speak. And they should also carry some of the, because they are based on the original symbols from the Greyhawk maps. Anyone who's seen the Darlene map know that I've used some of them, and I love those symbols. I just need to have more of them and clean up some of the confusion.
What about the ruins map? Is that under sites, or you used to have
ruins? Yeah, it depends. Ruins is simply the color. So you can have a ruined city, then you will make the color gray instead of so it's a color version if they're ruined or not, so to speak. And sites are things that people don't live there, so to speak. It'd be a couple of stones out there, like Tuba Baragu or something like it. It's like stones, meaning like the Stonehenge and things like that. Things that are visible, or sometimes a site might not even be visible. It might just be like a druid oak, for instance. It might be a magical druid tree, so it will just look like any other tree, but it's a very special tree because it's a magical tree. Or it might be something that is for a magical reason or something. And then we have another one, and that's historic place, that just points on the market that something happened there. Some of them might be marked, and then it might be a site. If someone put like a big rock there with inscriptions and stuff, then it will become a site. But if it's not visible and you still just want for your DM reference purposes, just want to have a marker, then I put these three little dots, so to speak, together.
What about when you have an elvish fort, dwarvish fort? You're going to eliminate those
exactly.
symbols
I will put elven symbols and dwarven symbols,
still
just like exactly. So first I needed the base symbols and have them figure out, and then I'm going into the different markers for dwarven, elven, humanoid, and stuff like that. So and then that's another thing. How much is needed to diversify them, so to speak? Because a lot of them might be like I use in Empire. Is something orcish, or is it human just under I use? It's kind of so but in a fantasy world, fantasy mapping should have these cool symbols. That's part of the fun. So that's why we need to have a dragon lair and stuff. So I'm sure this is not the complete set, but this is the standard set, so to speak. And I think these will work. They've been out on and I posted them on different blog posts and on Patreon over almost 2 years, and I haven't heard anyone complaining on them. So that's why I think they're now ready to start developing into further variants and stuff. So
excellent.
So that's big part. And these are kind of things, because once you start using them everywhere, then I don't want to change them again. So that's why it's much better to make sure that people like them and that I like them before we put them on maps. So, and that's one of the things that needs to be there before I can start the GIS stuff in earnest, so to speak. So that's why the symbol update project has been key, but small, but very important.
Excellent.
Yep. And then I putting another one in here, because this is the poor project that's got overlooked many for over 5 years, and that's the Lendor Isles, and it's been partially done now for well over 5 years. In the beginning, it was technology wasn't up to snuff. I felt I couldn't do a good job enough. And then when we got Len part of it and stuff, then he got sick and got cancer and stuff. So then I put it on hold, hoping he would get better. Then he got a little bit better, and we started again, and then he got ill again. And then the sad story that he passed away. And now here we are, so to speak. So that's the story behind the sad reasons that the project has been. But now I want to revive it. So I wanted to, because now when I get a new computer, then I will definitely have the horsepower, and we now have better versions of World Machine and Gaia that now I know we can make it good enough, so to speak, that I don't have to do it again after this. So we can make a version that is really inspiring, that all of Len's stories can play out on, so to speak, because that's the key. I see them as the reason I want to make them is to make a good canvas that all the stories we know should be able to naturally feel at home in it, so to speak. And then it should be rich enough that a lot of other stories can play out. So people can use these maps for decades to come to play at their own Lendor campaigns, so to speak. That's the goal in both of them, both for the Shieldlands project that I simply did as my first test bed, because I always want to use my own campaigns as the test bed. So if I screw something up with whatever, it's only going to affect me and my games and not anyone else's production to make it. That's why Altamira, now I feel secure enough that I've done it once that we can do it for Altamira, so to speak. I didn't want to invent and run something that never done before for Altamira project. So that's why Shieldlands was key to that. And now I've done Shieldlands, and Altamira is 1/3 done, so to speak. So that means that now it's time. Now I know we can do Lendor Isles and we can get it good, so to speak. So we'll see how much of these screenshots that will survive. That little island that is on the top left, I love that little island so much. So I'm going to sift out those height maps and get them in there one way or the other. That island, I just love it. I just need to get some rivers and stuff in there. But that I don't know how I succeeded, but I just love that one. That little depression in the middle with the lake and stuff in it, oh, I love it because it matches the other one. And that little mysterious lake, I've loved it ever since I saw it. So yeah, that's the one there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and we will get a discussion tomorrow on Altamira and stuff. So that will be awesome too. So Lendor Isle is high on my list to do. So I will definitely start as soon as I have a new computer. I will start tinker with it and then we can hopefully get it up and running and get it done. Maybe by next summer or something like that. That's the but these are rough dates, so to speak. So take all the dates I'm saying here very roughly. So, and then we have another project that is a cornerstone for the GIS conversion, and that's why I started it a couple of years ago to start, or 3 years ago to start the first version of it, and that's Earth, the project of Earth. Yeah.
Clear these off.
Yep. And now it's time to do the Earth 2.0 project, so to speak, do the second version of the Earth map. And that was a project I dreaded, to be honest, because I felt that the rest of the planet, first it wasn't interesting, and then it felt like, oh damn, everybody has opinions and stuff, and I don't know much about it, and if I might put my foot in here, I'm going to get hurt, or I'm going to blunderbuss into the Greyhawk community, and everybody will feel like I'm screwing up all this stuff, and there's so many other prominent Greyhawkers that have done cool versions of the planet ideas and stuff. So it felt like a quagmire to get into. But once I worked on it for a year, it felt like, wow, this is so interesting. And then when I started mapping it and it took some depth, it became in some ways the most fun cartography project I've ever done. And what we got, I think, from my perspective, was way over what I thought it would be. And also the negative comments and stuff were not anywhere near as severe. A lot of people seem to really like it. But it was a first attempt, so to speak. And there's still a lot of things. And I got a lot of really good constructive criticism. Thank you, everybody who told me ideas and things to think about and what little pet peeves they had, so to speak. And so go to the next one, and these are some of the main things that I'm going to look into for the version 2 of this, and those are the ones that I've ringed out here, so to speak. And let's go to the eastern one first, because this is a message to Carlos. We need to look into Fireland, so to speak. Fireland is more like a blob. I deliberately made it very vague, so to speak, because I know that Carlos is the premier.
That's a huge project.
Yeah, sage on this, exactly. And I don't want to step on your toes at all. That's why I left it just vague there, so to speak. So that will be, and I will continue to leave it vague. The only thing that I will do it right now is to make sure that the general location of the island or the group of islands will be where it will be, so to speak. So we have to look into, and that's something I talked to Carlos about, and we have to move it around until we find the perfect spot for it, so to speak. How far should it be from the Thralnian Peninsula? How far north should it be, etc.? So that's one of the key things to look at. And then if we go left, we have the next one, and that is to look into Blackmore. And one of my pet project is to integrate Dave Arneson's Blackmore into the Greyhawk map much more than we've had so far, because if you look at it, and now the cool thing is, thanks to Len, I got sketches and early copies of those early versions of Gary's Greyhawk and the Castle and Crusades version of Greyhawk that was long before the published version of Greyhawk. And I can tell that area was neglected then, because it was probably because it was Dave Arneson's area. He had the key map. And then when Darlene did it, they didn't look at Dave Arneson's map, but they just put an homage in there. So I'm going to do my very best to put in and to tweak this version, and there is a lot to gain from it. First of all, there is so little detail here, geographical detail, that we can have a much more interesting and better geography up there. And secondly, the drainage needs to be reworked, and from that's one of the really cool thing from the Dave Arneson's map for the Blackmore. There is a much better improved drainage, so we can get like a much more functioning geography up there. And secondly is or thirdly is we could tie it into different, because I don't want to change it that much here and now. I don't want to ruin people's 576 or 598 or 590 whatever something campaigns. So what I will do is that I will tweak the elevations a bit and say that if there was a warmer period when the oceans were higher, that's when you get that map, or that fit in. So there are clever little tweaks we can do to the map, so we can both have the cookie and eat it. So maybe we'll say there was a warmer period back in history where Arneson's Blackmore and the Blackmore we know in Greyhawk actually look the same. So if you want to play a Dave Arneson's Blackmore on this map, you can just take the old historic map. And that was one of the other projects I haven't made a slide for, but I'm going to do, but I didn't have anything good to show. And that's one of my pet projects I'm going to do for my campaign. I'm going to make a maybe quarter scale or so map of my version of Flannery's 2,000 years ago, or roughly about 2000, meaning the heyday of Flan, meaning the early days of Vecna's rule and stuff. What is my view of what Flanese looked like during the height of the Flan epoch and the Flan rule? Because I want that as my historical backdrop that I can use for my inspiration for my Meyerhawk campaign, so to speak. And that's something I want to give to the community, so you can think about, is this the way I want my version of Flanese to look like 2,000 years ago or not? So you can either pick parts of it, or you can pick the whole thing, or you can simply say, no, it's not for me. Because even to find examples of what you don't like is useful for your games too. It's like watching streams of games that are played in a way that you don't like it. It's good, because then you can learn from their mistakes and say, oh, I'm not going to do it that way. So whether you like it or not, it might be useful map.
Conrad asked, one of my players asked why on your map there was land north of the land of black ice, when on the Paizo map there was a channel between the Drummage and Solnor.
That's a really good question, and something I kind of dwelled on, because you realize that in the earlier versions of the map, I just had an ocean there. And then when I started looking at the Earth map as a whole, I realized that's so far north that it should be frozen over basically 360 all year round. That's one of the reasons that I put ice there. And the other one is that there seems to be hinted at that there is most of the year, most of the time, in most climate, actually ice there. But that from the black ice onward, so to speak. But it got left out because the map is so vague that not even all of the glossography map at the top got onto the Darlene map. So the Darlene map is kind of, it's like old mapping. It's further away from home you got, the more here be dragons instead of, because no one knew what it was. So it's kind of has some good old tropes, so to speak. So that is. But I also want to make hot, like I did in version 1 of Earth. You have a hot Earth and a cold Earth, and that opened up some really cool insights for me. And I just love the idea of having different climates back in history, because that opens up so many cool possibilities. And now we move to the next one, and that's the middle. Oh, this one, and this is one of these kind of difficult areas that I realized need to revision, because it's basically I just extended the Darlene map a little bit, and everything just ended with flat plains. And then I realized there was a mountain chain on some of the other maps. So that area, those mountains and stuff needs to be reworked and sorted out properly. So that's another area to look into.
Does that cover Lonacar, or is Lonacar right here?
Yeah, it's right there, so to speak. So
Okay.
I don't want to touch the sea of dust, and that is
Okay.
just very much an approximation. So I like the sea of dust and Lona Car. I don't want to touch that bit. It's the bit west of those mountains, and you have like a little Andes thing in the western part of that circle, and then there's a flat area with a river, and then mountains again. It's a bit too mountainous everywhere kind of thing. So I want to have a little bit of it's worse than Southern California when it comes to mountains. So it needs to be. I need to at least look into it and see what kind of options we can work with in order to make it interesting and fun, so to speak. And then we have this area, and this is of particular interest. And this is thanks to Troy pointing it. I think Troy was the one that alerted me and said, "Can't we put Lankmar in there somewhere?" And then we looked at
Ah,
the Lankmar map, and we realized that when we look at the Lankmar map and this area, it's a good fit. So I'm going to see if I can rework this area to match the Lankmar map. So
wow.
if you want to run Lankmar, you can make it into a Bakloonish town or some other culture, and it will match. So people who want to place Lankmar in on Earth can actually get an area that will
Cool.
match. Yeah, so that's one of the projects for that, so to speak. And then we have the big circle here, and this is the big one. The seems to, when it comes to Earth mapping, one of the biggest debates or I would say difference in taste or ideas of the planet is that there seems to be you have and the reason we have this huge continent and the cow skin, so to speak, is that TSR, the DA1 map, that I think is it's one of the worst maps ever, and it's a terrible map from a lot of cartography perspectives. But the problem is that it's one of only two sources, canon or canon is the wrong word, but published lore sources for Earth as we know it, so to speak. So that's why I want to pay an homage to it. So one school in this is to say, okay, we go with big Werik, so to speak. The continent is huge. You have a huge western part, and it's tied together with. And then you have the other school that I think is the majority. A lot of people that want to run the whole planet campaigns, they want a flan-centric, or they want to chop off the western part or discard it whole, so to speak. And they are the kind of a Flanese-centered idea of the planet, so to speak. And then roughly in that area, they cut it off one way or the other. Joe Block did an excellent map of that. He made a version of Flanese centric, so to speak, world, and even Greyhawk rebooted or whatever it's called. He made another version of that on the same theme, and I've seen several others. So it's a recurring theme is that Uruk is so damn big, so let's make a small one and go with it, so to speak. I can totally understand that it's a sentiment, but I prefer a huge continent simply because it's damn hard to map. So that's why I like challenges, so to speak. So I wanted to see if can't we get the best of both worlds, just like with Blackmore. So I want to say, okay, when the oceans are normal or low, then there is a big isthmus, meaning you can walk from Western Uruk to Eastern Uruk. But what if we have warmer climates and the ocean, because there's so much land ice, because both of the poles have land mass. So when all the ice at the poles will melt, or a large part of it, that means that the oceans will go up hundreds of feet, many hundreds of feet, maybe 500 to 800 or 1,000 feet up. That means that, and we make most of that isthmus a low laying area, that means that will be flooded. So when you have a warm climates, that will be a waterway open up, so to speak. So that way I can make both versions. And that means that I have to have that in consideration and make it. So that is why part of to sort this out before starting GIS, and also to know exactly where the Flanese is on the planet. That's very key, because once you start making all the maps, it's very difficult to start moving it. So it needs to be sorted out, so to speak. Greyhawk rebooted is accurate. I'm not so sure. And then we have this sad little place over here, and this is the cow skin. I worked I probably put in about 50 hours to get rid of those ugly triangles, because what they did was that they made one big land mass in the middle, and then they just had little things sticking out and just cut them off, and they get these triangular islands everywhere. And one of them is okay, but I think there's 3 or 4 of them, and or 5 maybe. So then it starts getting difficult. And I got rid of a lot of them. This one I think is still a bit too triangular, so I want to tweak this one even more to get rid of that triangle. I want to detoxify it, detriangulize it, or whatever you call it. So this is one of the things that it's a sore thing in. But I like the mountains in the middle of the island. So the northern part and the central part I don't want to tweak, but the coastline I want to do something with it, so to speak. It's yeah. So the island itself, I think I will cut in more on the mainland or do something with it. But we'll see. I need to tweak that. That's a sore thumb that I need to get in. Yeah. Oh yeah, the name was thank you, Scott and Kind. Yeah, the name Greyhawk Rebooted is good because it's spot on, so to speak. And I'm not against what he's doing. It's by any means, no, it's not that. So it's good. Everyone who's trying to do Greyhawk stuff, it's great, so to speak. So yeah.
So cool.
Yeah,
It's good to it's good to see all these areas of interest that you had there.
Yeah, those are the main ones, and then there are little details and stuff in there. So we can mention for people who haven't seen this one before, go to the east and that island in the middle there. So hang on a second, I just need to. So this is the I call it Menseri in my campaign, and this is an homage to Frank Menser, who got Aquaria, or it's been called several different names over its existence, so to speak.
We know that Dewey Carthren has Aquaria. He has it all
exactly
mapped out.
Aquaria, and it's called Antaria or something. Yeah, Aquaria. So you have the Great Southern Continent, but Frank Menser had one, and sometimes it's debated whether they are the same or not. Right. But I felt like the big Solnor could do it, so I took, and I had a bit of a bind in this because I was actually part of I was commissioned to do a map for Frank Menser for his Kickstarter, and that was under NDA, so I can't use any of that material, but I can make an homage to it, so to speak. So I can't tell you which part here are actually based on that, but I wanted to make an homage to Frank Menser, and I wanted to put it in there. And I invented for Imperia, thank you, that was the gunslinger, thank you, that was the last name of it. So in my campaign I called it Menseri, and I say it's an Ulman, or it's a two of a word for something. I have to new island or something. I will see. So that's how I tackled it, and I put it in there. So it's a large tropical island. It's like a huge Madagascar out there in the Solnor. So
big. If you look at it compared to Modelland, it's fairly large. I mean,
it's fairly large, yeah. So, and that's one of the things I might tweak it, but right now I'm okay with it. So, and people haven't complained too much, so it's kind of
No, that's cool.
That might, so it's one of these, and also we so I wanted it to be big enough to be significant, but small enough to still be considered an island. So that's why it's roughly a bit smaller than Greenland in size, or something like that. It's roughly on par with, a little bit smaller than Greenland. It's longer than Greenland, but much smaller in area, because it's a lot of peninsulas and stuff like that. So that was it. And then we have the Great Southern Continent down there. I moved it down south a little bit more to get it more interesting from a climate geography perspective, because it's now south, so we get some serious cold climates in the south. And I kind of like that, because sometimes I have a little bit of a problem in fantasy worlds that is a very large bit of it is either temperate or one of the extremes, so to speak, and it gets. I liked to have a bit more Arctic and varied climate, and you get something that freezes over in the south, because it opens up interesting migration possibilities for bears and polar bears and God knows what. So it's kind of So that was the little bit of the idea, and it's like a huge version of Australia with more mountains and a bit further south. So it's far away enough that it's kind of isolated enough that you can have your own fauna and flora and stuff there. And I also invented some islands here and there in between, just to speckle the map with would spread some interesting little tidbits that you can turn into your own.
Yeah,
Like
great,
that
yeah.
one is an island down there, and that's big enough that it's like it's about the size of the Lendor Isles or something. So it's big enough to be its own little mini setting if you want to. And there's a bunch of other, if you zoom in, there's a ton of other little islands and stuff here and there that you can turn into. There you have one of the other triangles.
Looks like Cyprus almost.
Yeah, that is an island that is full of dragons and stuff, if I remember correctly. And it's also spot on in the tropics. So it's like a tropical paradise in the middle there. So, yeah.
Cool.
Okay, how are we doing with time here? So we have
We're
an
good.
hour
We're
and 15 minutes. Yeah, good. Yep.
Yep. We're
Okay, so now we have plenty of time here. So we have lots of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the when it comes to Earth.
When it comes to Earth,
Yeah.
Of course, we're going to take questions at the end too.
Oh yeah, we take lots of questions. So yeah. And then Falx, what's that?
Falx is part of the Falx is the dragon in the R series. Egg of the Phoenix.
Gotcha. Oh, cool. That's a great name. So yeah.
Yeah, that was Spencer and Spencer and Jack Ways.
Yep. And now I have to talk about something that I didn't think would be a good idea to start with, but after a while it turned out to be a great idea, so to speak. And those are the weekly mapping streams, because I initially I did some YouTube videos like how-to videos and stuff, and they were tedious to do, to sit there and do things and talk to the mic by yourself and then to edit it and put it up on YouTube. That was a lot of work. It was like 4 times more work than if it was 1 hour of YouTube stuff, it was more than 4 hours. It was sometimes 10 hours of actually doing it. It's tedious work. Live streaming has the beauty of for 1 hour of actual streaming, you have roughly maybe 2 hours or at max 3 hours of actual work. So it's a little bit of work beforehand, but it's not more than three times more than work than the actual streaming. So it's very effective in that sense, because you're just doing it, and then when you're done, there's a little bit of wrap up, but not much. So that is the good. Do we have questions?
Well, this is good. Your mapping streams are a good supplement to the Fantasy Mapping Show once a month, right?
Yeah. I also think that they fill, at least that was my idea, that they should fill 2 different purposes. The Fantasy Mapping Show for people that are interested in fantasy cartography, but not necessarily interested in what button you should press in Photoshop to do this and that, so to speak. It's not how-to stuff. It's more inspirational, talk to people that are doing it, etc., and stuff like that. But the mapping streams is more like how-to. If you want to come and ask me, okay, how do you do that, so to speak? What layer effects are you using, or stuff like that? It's kind of a showcase for people to see how the sausage are made, so to speak. What are the actual stuff? And I will try to be more focused on doing things that could be used more as kind of tutorials and stuff. So I will try and do more of them and be ready to answer questions. So I will try and do them more themed and that's stuff, so to speak, and try to announce them and say, okay, on Friday I'm going to work on this, and we're going to look at these things, so to speak, and stuff. So they've been a little bit haphazard and just like, okay, let's just wrap something together and just sit there for 2 hours. So I'm going to see if I can up the ante and be more of actually more dedicated, and it's also going to be deep. And it's also a really good, because it gives me 2 hours I can actually sit there and talk about so small and esoteric little things that even this stream is not dedicated enough to go in and start discussing how do we do a symbol of a town for 30 minutes and stuff. So that is, the mapping stream is something for the super nerds of this, so to speak. Yeah. That's the goal. Yeah, the ones that already doing it primarily, so to speak, or the ones that are just interested in my Greyhawk maps and want to ask questions about Greyhawk and stuff too. So that, of course, they will be welcome. So the more of you that come and ask questions, the better, because otherwise it could be lonely. So it's wonderful. So thank you everyone who come in and help me feel really comfortable doing it, because I'm usually very good at presenting and stuff in front of a live audience, but sit by yourself and talk to yourself at my computer, that's hard. that's really, really hard.
Yeah, it's definitely not the easiest thing. So
Mm-hmm.
we got a question from MP.
Yeah.
Let's illustrate first, but we have a lot of new people who've come in the last hour. So
Yeah, please.
three
Mm-hmm.
giveaways. Two of them are $10 digital gift certificates for Troller Games. But the big one is we're going to give away a Kefir map, the Greyhawk print that he did for the fundraiser last year. That Phantom and Jersey has the original, but these print maps are really nice. So just please limit these to the continental U.S. or if you want to chip in on shipping, I'll ship it anywhere. So put that drawing exclamation next to each other, Gary. You separated them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm giving away 3 of them during this this whole weekend. This is the first one. So yeah, there you go. So just so you're aware, that's what we're going to give away tonight. So
And now we got to. Oh, sorry.
yeah, MP. So we got a question from about how any tips or tricks for trying to get into mapping if you're an illustrator.
Yeah, Illustrator is a great tool to illustrate. It's not the best thing to map. It depends on what type of maps you want to do. If you want to do encounter maps and are more of an artistic bent, I prefer Photoshop for that. Illustrator for me is the tool to do symbols and simple vector heraldry, things that you want to resize up and simple things like symbols and stuff like that. That's where and super simple things that needs to run on very little resources. That's where Illustrator is good. But when I do my encounter maps and city maps and stuff, I want to doodle. But and that's the trick with GIS, because GIS, a lot of it is vector based. So you need to work on, and it needs to look good and inspiring, so to speak. And that's one of my pet peeves that I've talked about several different mapping shows and stuff like this before, is that some maps are just there to inform you, other maps are there to inspire you. Remember, if you look at your GIS in your car, it's just about to give you information to go from A to B. It's not going to inspire you to do anything or stop grocery shopping on the way or whatever. It's like your GIS in your car is there to inform you, so to speak. And if you go to a hospital and you find the big map with the overview, it's not inspire you to go to the whatever department. It's just information, that's it. But if you go to a zoo or an amusement park or a shopping center, they have a different kind of map. They have a map that doesn't necessarily, accuracy is not the king there. Then it's the inspire you to go and see all the cool things. And so you make sure that you see all the rides and stuff. And they kind of omit the fact that you have to go over across a big hill to get to the elephant pen or something like that. So it's more about inspiration, cute little animals or fun little things placed around. And when it comes to fantasy mapping, I think we need to take a look at both the factual maps, meaning the map that informs you as a DM, so you can make quick judgment calls during your games. Are the orcs going to ambush here or 2 miles down the road, or something? But you also want a map that inspires both you as a DM to come up with cool adventures, and also a map that you can show your players and inspire them to want to go adventuring and stuff like that too. So those are the two things, so to speak. And when it comes to tools, you should kind of figure out where do I want my map to fall on this. Do I just want a map that gives me the layout of a town or a castle or a dungeon? And I'll take, for example, these old blue maps that were very popular back in the late 80s, early 90s, that were basically done as a copy protection originally, but then they became a thing, and the blue maps live to this day because a lot of gamers, they are nostalgic about those old blue maps. If you look at them, they have no inspirational features that are purely informative. It's so the DM can know if the room has 12 squares or 20 squares, and if you can see around the corner to see if there's a door there or not, and if the spell would cover the whole width of the room or only 3/4, if the enemy can slip around it if you put a wall of force or a wall of fire or something there. So it's purely informational map. And then you have today's dungeon maps that are full of beautiful, wonderful atmosphere and cool things, and you can see the smudgy blood stains of the demon summoning that went on there 10 years ago and stuff like that. So if you fall into the camp of having a pure informational map, you want simple, easy to use, accurate tools for the DM, use Illustrator. If you want fancy, cool looking inspirational maps to put in Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, Forge, or whatever VTT tool, or print and put on your table, Photoshop is your weapon of choice. So it's very much like, what type of map do you want to use?
So
choose the right tool. Yeah.
MPL said, I'm sorry, I'm an illustrator working with fantasy art, trying to get into fantasy cartography, not working in Illustrator. I'm old school analog. He can follow the Alyssa Faden route, and that's she
Exactly.
can't draw
Yes.
whack-ons.
Exactly. Yeah.
A whack-on
Yep.
tablet. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then paint, and also meaning there's tools like Pro Fantasy, their campaign cartographer, that is a CAD-based tool. Some people love that. Mouse, do the settings right, click on the mouse 5 times, and it looks fantastic. But some people don't like that. They want to doodle and they want to draw little things and then make them look cool, so to speak. So it's very much what type of map do you want, and what are your preferred method of working, meaning how do you get the most out of your time, so to speak. And so think of your approach, do some tests, and then figure out what tool you prefer, what workflow you prefer, and what kind of end result. What's the vision of your map? How do you want to use it? How do you want it to look when you're done, so to speak? That's important.
So Letitius asked, so does that mean you lean more towards inspiring the players when creating the map?
Yes, I want to. Yeah, exactly. I want the difficult thing is I want halfway, so to speak. I want information and a little bit of inspiration. I want to quickly get the players to understand and get an orientation. Okay, this room is this big. There's a door over there, and there is a set of stairs there, and there is a window in that sense, or there's an arrow slit that I can go out and watch the courtyard and shoot at something out in the courtyard, for instance. I want the players to quickly get that, so I don't have to spend 3 minutes trying to explain that, because that is much better for me as a DM to use because time it as an essence, both because you want to cram in things, but you don't also want to have to kill the story just telling the obvious, so to speak. So I want the obvious to be easy recognized, and I also want to quickly get the players to feel, is this a newly built, wonderful, clean, cozy place in a beautiful little cute church or good temple, or is it a filthy orc den that the orcs have occupied for 10 years, or there's a troll living in the basement who produce way too much waste and stuff like that. So I want to convey that quickly, so when the players look at the map, they should get the basic facts and a basic idea of what kind of place this is, without me having to spend more than a sentence or two on doing it. So look at the type of, and also, what do you as a DM want to emphasize? Are you a strict rules person that want to do skirmish and distances and stuff is really important? Go with accuracy. Or are you more theater of the mind kind of DM who wants the story to be the essential piece of your gaming? Skip the accurate numbers and the simple details and go with more atmosphere and cool looking maps rather than accurate maps.
Cool looking. There's nothing wrong with cool looking.
No, it's not. But the problem with cool looking is that then you need to invest more time in the looks, and you also need to choose the tool for it. So yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So you got something here as we go to this next slide that I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, this is one of the cool
surprises?
little extras. One of the surprises.
Okay.
I
like
because I've invented the porta potty scale, and I took but I need to do one more experiment, so to speak, and think about it. Because if I want to map the whole of the Flannies at 1 pixels per 5 feet, it's going to take 10 years, even with the best computer in the world, and I might not be around for 10 years. So I wanted to see. One is to do from the bottom up, so to speak. That's the porta potty version of it. Or I map 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 miles by 50 miles, and I map it at that super detailed. The other way is to say, okay, what if we, instead of 5 feet, take 500 feet or 100 feet per pixel and map 1,000 by 1,000 miles, and then we can cut out little pieces and make bigger versions. I wanted to test the top-down perspective. So Shieldlands was my test to do the bottom-up version of workflow, so to speak. So I know that bottom-up works. Now I want to do the top-down, and the other one I called area maps. These I call regional maps. And my first test bed is that this is the hint to my players, White Plume Mountain. I'm part 2 of my Shieldlands campaign. Hint. This is a big hint, so to speak. So I'm taking the White Plume Mountain for several reasons. It's a cool area. It's close to where we adventure right now, and it's also interesting from a geography perspective. You got Shieldlands was a challenge because it's so barren. There is no details. Go to Shieldlands on the Darlene map. It's just a green blob, and that's it. The White Plume Mountain has volcanoes, big mountains, and wilderness and stuff. So I wanted the opposite challenge. Now I need to map an area that is smock full of geographical features, tall mountains and lots of rivers and weird things like swamps up in the mountains and a lot of geographic cartography challenges that are opposite of boredom and no details. So those are the reasons I picked this area.
On the Greyhawk map, the Darlene map, you just have a big, you have a big volcano and nothing.
Exactly.
I mean, that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that is but you have it. Look at Kenya or in Africa, Kilimanjaro.
There's still water around it and stuff.
Exactly.
Waterworks and all.
Exactly. And but so the main job here is not the volcano in the middle. It's how do you integrate the volcano into the surrounding landscape?
Yeah.
And the volcano will. So I'm going to spend like probably about 500 by 500 miles. So you will stretch from the
into the Bandit Kingdoms.
Exactly, into the Rift Canyon all the way into Shieldland, so to speak.
Nice.
And but I will veer towards the Shieldland area more because I want to stay out of the Rift Canyon for now.
Okay.
And I also want to make sure that we can go from my area in the Shieldlands all the way up into the White Plume Mountain using this map. So I'm a little bit selfish in my own campaign for the test area, so to speak. So, and Veralos will probably not be covered in this first episode of this, but it's a test to see if the top-down version works. And so I want to test both, and then when I've tested them, I will see which one is fastest and gives the best results, so to speak, and easiest to work with. So it's about efficiency. I want to be able to map as much as possible, as well as possible, as effectively as possible. Those are the and so once I've done the 2 projects sometime next year, I will evaluate them, and then I'll know which approach will be the right one for the future, so to speak. First I was like, oh, of course I need to go bottom up, but now I'm starting to get that might be top down might win the day. So we'll see, but it's my guess at the moment, but we'll see. After I've done Wild Plume, and it might not result in the best White Plume Mountain. It might not be the final one, and it might not even be a full featured map. It's a test concept to see if the workflow works or not, so to speak. And I might realize 2/3 through that it didn't work well at all, and I might kill it. Probably not, but we might end up with the final version of White Plume Mountain, and it might be an icon for the future, or it might be a failed project. We'll see. But initially, this looks cool, though. This is my test so far, and I'm kind of happy with it. I think it's an area that has huge potential, and it's really cool. And I'm going to base a dragon there or 2. So that's where Dragotha have as one of her hideouts, and Morgenstaller that was invented in the Living Greyhawk campaign and stuff hides out there. So
that's awesome.
It's an area with a lot of promise and stuff here. So yeah. So this is the other. So that was was it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But let's take
we have a lot of
the Altamira stuff we're going to talk about tomorrow on Troller Games.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I forget what time that is. That 4? It starts at 4 Eastern.
It starts noon for me, I think, or no, 1 o'clock. No, 1 o'clock.
Let me take a look at Greyhawk.
I think it was 1 o'clock on my here. So yeah.
All right. So 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, we're going to talk about aired Greyhawk and Altamira, what all the stuff that's going on with that, with Stephen Chenault, Anna, and me, really just chatting up things. And then I will bolt out of that about at 5:20, because I'm gonna have people logging into my Zoom for the
Mhm.
Grand Joust coming up after that. So it may just
Yep.
be for that last half hour, Anna and Steven, which is cool. So
Yep.
yeah, just wanted to let you
Mhm.
know
Yep.
why you haven't seen a lot of the mapping stuff that's going on for Altimeter. We're going to cover some of that
Oh yeah, we've got to
tomorrow.
cover some. Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's also some other stuff I haven't talked about yet. So now it's time you
All right.
move me over to the big window here.
All
So
right. So Anna's going to
yes,
share some stuff right off her
yeah.
machine.
Yeah, so
So I just gonna
now
sit back.
now comes the cool bit. You remember I learned from the pro. I try to imitate the pro here. So meaning Steve Jobs always have like the next thing or the other thing. Now it's time to start talking about the stuff that I haven't mentioned to anybody.
Woohoo.
And this now comes because you never thought that I would leave it at this, so to speak. So what you've seen so far is cool, and I'm working on it. But there's other cool stuff too. So let's dig into and see if we can dig into
All right.
the cool stuff here. So yeah. So here we have some cool stuff working on it.
There's more.
Yeah. So now we have almost half an hour. So
Yeah,
we'll
we're
see
good.
what we
We're
can
good.
dig in here. So yeah. So 6 months ago I got a chance to get into. Hang on a second. Yeah. So here's the first result. So this is my chance to get back, giving back to the community, so to speak. So everything you see here will actually be for free, so to speak. So I'm going to go back. So take a look at this. This is a picture of my illustration of a celestial dragon, one of the monsters I've invented for my campaign. And I want to give back. I work a lot to keep my players happy and world build myself my own game. And I thought it would be really cool to start giving back to the community and doing it big time, so to speak. So one of the first things I'm doing under consider, so to speak, is to it's under consideration to make game streams. If it's successful on Sunday, I would love to do a monthly stream. I don't think it will be more than monthly, because it might be that it might be cool to run my campaign on a monthly basis and do one monthly stream, and then have mapping streams weekly and have the mapping show, and then be part of Ladies and Lore and Gavin and stuff as usual, of course. But then to have maybe one game per month. It's my
idea.
players to need to be up to it, and people need to Conrad Dubois. Yeah, that was one of my idea. I have more dragons, so yeah. So that's not the only. Wait a couple of minutes, and so yeah. So to do mapping or to do game streams, that if it's successful on Sunday and popular and stuff, I'm definitely going to consider doing a once a month gaming stream, so to speak. But that's not all. We need to, meaning I develop a lot of stuff. I'm the chronic over prepper. I over prep like crazy. So instead of just holding on to all the over prepping stuff, I need to give back to the community. So next year there will be the first Meyer Monster Compendium.
Wow.
Will come out. Yeah, and I worked now for 6 months on some heraldry and some symbols and illustrations, and you can see some of them in the stuff here. And thanks to Midjourney and Photoshop and some advice from friends and stuff, those illustrations will be professional level, so to speak. They will be good enough to be in any monster book, and I love them. So they're going to be good. And I'm not the best monster designer when it comes to do all the little math right and stuff. So they might not be the best monsters in that sense, but they will be monsters that I think they will be 5e compatible. I will talk a little bit more later in a few minutes here about the rules and stuff, but they will be 5e compatible because I'm using a version of advanced 5e for my campaign, and of course they will be Greyhawk compatible. And it's not the monster mechanics that I think are key, because I think almost every monster under the sun or under whatever planar illuminary thing there is have been invented, more or less. What I think is cool is that these monsters will tie into my, and hopefully can tie into other Greyhawk campaigns. They can have a home in Greyhawk. A lot of them will be animals that live in certain areas, or they will have a history in Greyhawk and stuff. So the Greyhawk connection of these monsters will be, I think, the essence, not the attack, the type of attack they or spell they can cast and stuff. It's the Greyhawk connections. That will be a big emphasis. Of course, there will be full stat blocks and stuff, but they could be tweaked and stuff. So get them for the Greyhawk connection primarily, so to speak. So that's one of these things. But when you do campaign and play your campaign and prep and house work with your own campaign, so to speak, then you do more than monsters. Of course, you have to have NPCs as well. So that means that I will put together the NPCs with an NPC compendium. So that means that there will be an NPC compendium coming, and you can see some of the cool ones there on the left. You have Glushnag the Mighty. He is the leader of the Gensal hordes, hobgoblins, and I love his illustration. That is, I love that portrait. It's so cool. And then we have a celestial dragon. There will be a celestial dragon, and then we have an Iusian priest peeking out behind the sea there, and then we have a golden dragon. That's Katarina, the commander of the shield lance of the Order of the Shield. And then we have Udard, a guy that originally from Horn Society and Molag, but then he kind of changed his course a little bit in life. And then on the right is Urtin, a young upcoming soldier in the shield lance that will be part of he was one that will be played by Darlene on Sunday. And the stats will come out about him so very soon, so to speak. So
did you say Darlene or Darling?
Darling, yeah.
Darling Creepshow, okay.
Yeah, Darling Creepshow. Yep, sorry.
Good.
Yep.
Awesome.
So she will play Urtin, young Urtin, and he's a 17-year-old upstart that is damn good warrior, so to speak. So it's really cool. So thank you. Yes.
Awesome.
So she got the backstory of him, and she got to pick. She picked him as one of the backstories. And of course, there's more than monsters and NPCs. There is, of course, rules as well. So I will put together the rules that I worked up. Will come in a compendium first. It will not be a complete rule set, but it will be house rules, so you can pick and choose things. So I got rid of classes. I will get rid of classes. I've revised my magic system a little bit, and I've also put in rules for how deities work and some of the other stuff. And I've refined monster types and stuff like that. So they will come out next year too. So those are the my main things, so to speak, that I wanted to
Nice.
add. Yeah. So that was a little bit of what's coming, so to speak. So that I hope that could be fun. And it's thanks to Midjourney and some of my friends who helped me with the illustration, because that was the weak bit. Some of these monsters I've been sitting on for years, and some of them are fairly new, but I wanted to give them a proper presentation. That was the key bit. And
That's
I
awesome.
don't have enough money to pay someone $500 to do an illustration for me and stuff like that. But when Midjourney came around and my own Photoshop skills and a little bit of help from friends, I can now make them justice, so to speak. I can make them, I can convey my vision of what they can look like. And it's some of them are cool. Some of them are kind of bland, because I think that deliberately, like some of the animals in Greyhawk, because that's one of my pet peeves. I want the natural life to be more present. So some of them are there. Some of them are iconic beasts. The celestial dragon is deadly. That one you don't want to meet in battle, so to speak. Or it is super deadly. And one of the tricks the celestial dragon has, it has a sharp edge on its tail that it can fling that has sharpness, and that can basically slice things in half if need be. And it's the best flyer, and it also has one of the things, he has aerial stealth. It can hide in midair, even at speed, so to speak. So he has some cool stuff. It's not the normal dragon. It's not the dragon that is good at being on the ground and fight. Breath weapon is not its strongest suit. It has 3 of them, but it's the aerial maneuverability and the ability to fight in the air is its best step. So yeah.
Some awesome stuff.
Yeah, so that was, now we're at the end of what I wanted to present. But like I said, my time frame is several years. There are other cool ideas I'm working on that I haven't told anybody yet, but it's coming. Yep.
Throw out some questions there,
Yeah,
and
please.
then for the next 5-10 minutes, and then we're going to do some. Tell you what's coming up. We got a lot of great stuff coming up. Next
and
2
it's
days,
all
3
thanks
days.
to you guys helping me out, because now I can invest the time in doing this properly, so to speak, and thoroughly. So yeah.
I'm reverse building up all my things I need to discuss here. So let's go to Saturday, Friday, and then a thank you. Okay, I think that excuse me. I think I got it in your thank you screen. So, oh my God, Git. All right, well there you go. Wow,
Wow.
Yeah, well. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you on that.
You got 5 too. So
yes.
there you
so
go.
we'll throw that into the kitty for. So here's the deal for. Well, we'll talk about it as there are going to be specials, not regulars, allowed tomorrow, and I'll in the joust. I'll explain that when we do shout outs. Okay, just so we know how that works. But I will keep them for next week's my next week's game for the team and all. So let me pop over to this one here. So you may have covered this already, but what are some of your favorite draw programs for map making? We did that early. I think you may have missed that. And here, let me just go to that one right there.
Yeah, yeah. It depends on what type. I love doodling in Photoshop. That's one of my, for doing encounter maps and when I do my maps of settlements and stuff. I love to doodle in Photoshop. It's very relaxing and good. But also I love to do landscape, real landscape, so to speak, but virtual ones. So that are actual 3D landscape. And those are my tools. Are Gaia and World Machine are my go-to tools. And now I'm starting to get into GIS tools like QGIS, which is open source, really good software. But there are some functions I think I'm going to lean into the professional workhorse, the Photoshop of GIS, and that's ArcGIS. But it's $1,000 a year, so it's a bit pricey. But now, thanks to you guys, I can start leveling up my toolbox here quite a bit. And then Blender is wonderful, because once I start getting things properly done in 3D, I can render landscape photos, and that's where Blender and Unreal comes in. So you can actually see what the landscape looks like from a perspective, and that's why I want to have friends like Linda Booth and others who can create buildings and close-up details. So it is trying to put together things, so to speak. Yeah.
Scott asked, do you find maps and level of detail are embraced by more players, or some editions more than others? I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, I think it's just, if you love Greyhawk, it's Greyhawkers over anything else. I think that trumps it, but I could be wrong.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but I also think that most Greyhawkers love my maps. There are a few people who say, no, it's Darlene and nothing but Darlene. So I totally respect that. If you grew up with that map, that's your thing, so to speak. But I think that a lot of Greyhawks, but they use it differently depending on your style of the game. Some people will just use it for planning. Some DMs will just use it and I used to be that way. And if you go back some years, I don't ever even show my players my Flanese map. That's for me mapping when I plan my campaigns. I don't show my players that map much, because that's my strategic overview, and my players, like they lived in my little village of Aldit that was there, and or like in Altamira. I don't want my players, if characters have never been outside of the city, I don't want them to know how many miles there is to certain things, or how the roads actually go and stuff. And so that is my campaign planning, so I can figure out who lives there, what lives there, and so on and so forth. How long does it take from the bad guys go from that spot to where the characters are, or vice versa? So stuff like that. So I think that Greyhawk DMs, they use my maps very differently depending on their playstyle or edition.
And Scott, as you can see in my map here, my Altamira map here, this is where Celine and the Sus and Principality and County all meet. A lot of this has all been added by Anna post, and as I'm filling the map, which is devoid, you know, of a lot of locations that are really.
And you add things like on a monthly basis, and the same thing for me. Each time I plan a new campaign, or then I go in an area and I add lots of stuff, and even once the players have been to that area, now they're heading in a different direction. Then I have to figure out what's there, because
Right.
what's there originally is just, it's not enough, so to speak.
Yeah, just giving the follow-up question from Laticus was, are there any you would steer away from programs for a new mapper?
It depends on, there's the thing, it depends on your style, so to speak. Meaning, if you want to quickly do things without having to spend 200 hours of figuring out the tool, skip Photoshop or GIMP or something like that, and get to one of the cartography tools, so to speak, Incarnate, Dungeon Fog, Pro Fantasy Campaign Cartographer or something. Pick one of those tools and figure out a tool that works for you, for your budget and for the time you want, so to speak. And it also, that's one side of it. The other side is, what type of map do you want to produce? And again, I emphasize, do you want simple maps that just gives the geometry so you can do all the calculations for the skirmishing game, or do you want to ooh and ah the players with cool looking stuff to put on the game table or in the BTT? And that's the key. So what type of gameplay, how do you want to use the map, and what information, what do you want to do with the map? Do you want to ooh and ah your players? Incarnate, Dungeon Fog or something should be your tools. If you just want to do the very basics, then you can get a simple vector tool and just draw it out that way, or sketch it out in some simple tool and just put stuff there. And to be honest, you don't even need, if you just want to go simple, sketch it out and take a picture with your cell phone camera and use that. That is a sure way of doing it, so to speak. Or even get if you play at the table, you should think about investing in something like the tactiles. Gaming paper has, these are old and clunky and cost a fortune back in the day. Dungeon, or say Gaming Paper, he's an awesome guy. He runs gamingpaper.com. He runs site. He has lots of cool tools that you can actually draw on using dry erase or wet erase markers, and learn to draw while you game. That use simple maps like that. They work with miniatures, tokens or something, and they are lightning fast, and you can produce really cool results. You need no planning. If you're like a seat of a pants DM, so you just want to invent things on the go, and you don't want to prep for 10 hours for each time you game, and you just want to be inspired at the game table, and if the players go off script, you can just map it out, and you come to a new village and you can invent the village on the fly and just map it. I used to be that DM. I didn't plan it before. I drew it at the game table on these, and then just took a picture afterwards and put that in my reference note and say the inn in that little village looked like this. I had no idea what that village existed before we started the adventure, but afterwards I knew what I invented by referencing it afterwards. So it's very much your play style. Are you a seat of the pants DM who likes to go with inspiration, or are you planning everything beforehand? That is one choice. And then what type of game style? A lot of skirmishing, rules heavy, cool mechanics, or just stories, beautiful places, emotions, role play and stuff, or something in between. Those are the key, I think. So yeah.
Great questions.
Yep. Awesome questions. Yep.
Let me go over the schedule for the rest of the night. We're going to be raiding the Blue Box. Blue Box has the main event for tonight, which is Rescue Vermar Mind. It should be a great game. We'll raid into that. Hopefully you'll stick around and watch that. We got a massive audience. Thank you so very much. And then late night, Phantom will be running a White Plume Mountain in the Castles and Crusades rule set at 11. That'll finish up day one. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed day one so far. It's going really well. Day two, I am bright and early at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm producing the Ever Mysterious Tim's Reverse Dungeon. Right, so we got the Reverse Dungeon, and then we got some really unbelievable things going on. Anna and I are in this aired Greyhawk and Altamira on Trollor Games channel at 4, going right into the joust. Okay, so that's a lot of things that are going on Saturday. Tim's Reverse Dungeon, 7 a.m. early, and then the Grand Joust of Altamira. Luke Gygax,
looking forward to that. Yep.
The son of Melf himself, Eleator is his real name. Alyssa Faden is playing her angry paladin. Mike Disney, Bones, Chuck Cumbo, William Henry Dvorak, a lot of you in the community, Canadian Gamer, Tino, Celtic Boar, Chantel, a ton of people are in this event. Amy Crittenden, looking forward to having fun. I tore down. If you saw my game Thursday night, this is what's on the table right now. I don't even want to tell you how long it took me to tear down what I had up.
It's so
The ruins of
cool.
Strankeep Castle. We are ready to go for this grand joust tomorrow. Yeah. No, there's no spell casting in a joust. This is a joust. This is for honor. There, and I got a little setup of what's to come. So it'll be a fun time. And the entire city is up on the table, so we're ready. This area of the city. Let me rephrase that. So, yes, I am still married. This was all I took today off from work, so I'm fine. Take with us on this. So, yep. Thank you. We're psyched on that. That is coming tomorrow. That's the main event, 6:00. Monster giveaways. We're giving away another one of these tomorrow night too. During that, we'll give away another map. I'm going to be giving away a lot of 3D prints too. So. Is there a bookie? I'm hoping that one gets online. Someone starts taking some bets and stuff. And then Sunday, the last day, Phantom starts 7 a.m. And Anna's game's 11 a.m. EDT. Okay, so that's a big thing. Anna's game here, 11 o'clock a.m. EDT. So that's 8 a.m. PDT.
Yep, and I saw Antiquitas, one of my players.
Yes,
Awesome,
and he survived
Alex.
in Steven Chenault's game. He didn't die.
Oh,
He
yeah,
dies usually in
I
every
couldn't
adventure.
see that to the end because we were setting this up, but I saw the first bit. And Caraptus, that's a brave name to put on a character. It's awesome. Yeah.
And Guild Superiors at 3. Okay, and the Dead of the Howling Hills. Oh, Grafumbi, thank you for that. Really appreciate the support. Then lastly, normally the grand finale, the biggest event we normally have during con, the Greyhawk Ask the Experts and wrap-up show. Tons of giveaways. All these 5 experts have all confirmed. So Eric Mona, Eric Boyd, Alan Groh, who's the Grow Dog, Joe Block, Greyhawk Grondard, and Malden, Dennis Tetra. What a great group. You can ask him anything, except when is Watsy going to do Greyhawk content? Because none of them will know. None of us know. And but it'll be a blast. Any other questions? I'm holding off because I don't see Blue Box on yet.
Okay, that would be good. We have So I hope this was a good setup and presentation. That I hope I could spark some inspiration and some desire for the cool things coming, so to speak. So it's kind of fun. Now I can invest way more time. So what you and always realize that what you get now is what I invested 2 years ago, basically. So now when I can invest full time since almost like 6 months ago, so to speak, so I can work full time. And now with better computer and more time, I can invest way more time into this. So it's kind of, it's a lot of fun to work with. So it's a labor of love. It's a job I love to go to every day, and you guys make it's so much fun to do. So yeah.
We are having and so far so good. I'm gonna knock on wood here. I've not heard of any issues yet. I mean, I know some people said they didn't have some people no shows or whatever. Like Scott, you had 5, but in your game day, Showcant game or whatever. I'm glad to see everyone's running. I mean, and I wanted to say thank you to Endicarus, who's running with 1 sign up. He's running both of his events with 1. That's great, good. But there's still some open spots for the next couple of days that you can still sign up for. Thanks. So last call. Once again, if you are outside the continental United States, I will figure something out. But I won't spend $100 for shipping on this. But everything we can
probably have to insure it if you send it somewhere else.
And fees and things like that. But we can work out other stuff. I have Reaper gift certificates. I have a lot of other things I can do for you if you win the big thing here. So last call, hit up that drawing thing. We'll do the drawings, and then like I said, we'll still take questions as we're going. It's drawing dragon. There you go. Because I'm trying to say, John, get live. I don't care if you're missing players.
Exactly.
Hey, Taryn. Will I send to Sweden? Like I said, gift certificates and all that are easy, but let's see who wins, and then we'll worry about it, right? We'll worry about that. So there's always
PL illustration. That's awesome. So yeah, well,
very cool. And it's
great.
Thank you
so much
to see you. Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
All right. So I'll give it 10 more seconds, and I'll close it out, and we'll see who wins. 2 of them will be immediate I'll immediately send you guys codes for Troller Games' store. Hey, Phoenixy. Phoenixy kicked off the stream, kicked off GreyhawkCon this morning, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that was good to see. I really appreciate it.
And it's great to have people live in Asia that can start the conventions
Yeah,
early.
Japan.
And then, yeah,
That's crazy. All right, he's going live now, which means he won't show up for 2 minutes on here. So it's usually there's a 2-minute delay before we can raid into him. So here we go.
Yeah.
We're going to close this out. Let's see who wins the Kefir print. And then $10 digital gift certificates to Troller Games. All right. Closing it out. The winner, the first winner, of course, the first one I draw will be the winner of the print. Taran! Tea time with Taran!
Wow.
All right, Taran. So, Taran, you're okay if I send this to Mike, and then next time you're there, whatever, pick it up to say for shipping, correct? I'm going to send it to Mike's house. All righty.
And NPL Illustrations asked what my favorite published adventure. That will be Hamlet, actually.
Yes,
it's my favorite. It's a mini. I'm very sandboxy, and it's a little mini sandbox setting. So I love that, and I also love it for two reasons. One, it's sandboxy. The other one is tied into the setting. It has a lot of Greyhawk lore into it, so to speak, and it's. I think it was ahead of its time. It's a fantastic adventure for many reasons that way.
Yeah,
so
and that's Stephen Chenault's too. And he ran like an ode to the Moat House today, right before this.
Yep.
So, all right, and here we go. The next two winners, and these will be $10 gift certificates right to Troller Games store. Remember, I'm gonna put this up. You can always get 15% off if you don't have a gift certificate or whatever, anytime using my code TLGLG15 off on any purchase. Okay, it's a special Lord Gazumba code right there. So I always have that code ready. So did you read the original Adventures Reincarnated, TOEE?
I'm not sure which one, because there's so many. Yeah, you have the 1 to 4, the big. But of course, I've read that many times. But then you have the what was it? Goodman Games had a big Bible. I haven't read that through yet. So I have that one to read through. If that's the one.
MPL, you won a gift certificate to Troller Games' store site. So there you go.
Yep. Congratulations.
Awesome. Congrats. Yep. Yep, I will get that right to you in Whisper here. I can send it right in Whisper as soon as I get offline here. Thank you for that follow. I'm waiting for Blue Box to show up. They're still not showing on my.
It's okay. We can sit here and babble for. I have nothing coming up in the next couple hours, so we're good. Yep.
All right, now they're showing at 0, which is good. At least they're showing.
Okay.
All right. All right. So here we go. Last winner, and then sit tight, please, and give them a. Let's go. I'd love to see a raid in the 100 realm here. Last winner.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
Mike EB, sit frog, sit. I know him. I will send you in Whisper as well here. That $10 off code as well. Thank you so very much, Anna, for a wonderful discussion.
Oh, thank you, Jay, for all for hosting it and producing it and advertising it everywhere. So thank you. Yep.
So I'm going to set the rate up right now. I'll see you Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Big day tomorrow. Lots of things going on. Everyone have a good night. Enjoy the next 2 streams, and hopefully you're playing in some games, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely, Scott. It's good to see you.
Yep.
Setting the rate up. Well, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, that was a lot of wonderful questions and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's great.
It's going. It's going to get close.
90.
Be right there.
Yeah.
93. Awesome. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the con.